In the heart of the sprawling wilderness on the edges of Sabi Sand, where golden plains intersect with dry riverbeds, and where the night is not merely darkness, but an open stage for roaring and predation, a lion was born, unlike any of his kind. There, amid a pride known as the Airfield Pride, he came into the world. A cub with stern features, his thick mane grew unusually fast, and his gaze hid behind it silent death and a terrifying soul. That cub would come to be known as Mr. T, or the devil who drowned the savannah in blood and rage. He was born around 2001 or 2002. Only a few years would separate him from the inevitable expulsion that awaited all male lions when they matured. At first, he was just one of the pride's sons, playing with his brothers, learning the art of hunting from the pride's mothers, leaping around his dominant father's body at the time. But the jungle hides its secrets, and fate always prepares those who may become kings or executioners. When he reached the age of 3, the moment came, and he was expelled from the pride. There was no longer room for young males in the pride's embrace, for they had become a threat. He and his 5 brothers, Mkulu, Kinky Tail, Dreadlocks, Rasta, and Pretty Boy, set out to begin a life of wandering. 6 nomadic males, 6 hungry lions, 6 hearts that had not yet tasted the meaning of power. And from here, everything began, from wandering to the throne of kingship. It was a turning point in their lives in 2004, after they were driven out of their safe place into the wilderness of fear and hunger. They survived on whatever they could find, hunted small prey, and roamed the edges of territories controlled by stronger males. But something was forming within them. Strength, unity, and ambition that exceeded the limits of any alliance the region had known. By 2006, they had grown. Thick black manes framed their solid rock-like bodies and dagger-like teeth. They were no longer mere intruders. For them, it was time for war. The 6 announced their presence with roars that shook the savannah. At first, it was a shock. Who were they? But soon, everyone knew the answer. They were the mpaogos, the name that would sow terror across all of Sabi Sand. They moved like a storm. If they encountered a single dominant male, he knew well that his death had come. There was no chance against such an onslaught. The confrontation was not fair. It was an execution. 6 bodies attacked at once. The victim thrown to the ground, his flesh torn until nothing remained but screams carried away by the wind. And they did not stop there. They hunted down cubs. Most did not survive. Every cub that did not belong to them was sentenced to death. The mothers who tried to defend them tasted pain and destruction. That was the law of the mpaogos. Either you are of our bloodline, or you are erased from existence. With such ruthless ferocity, they extended their control over nearly half the reserve within months. Never before had modern history witnessed an alliance of such scale and brutality. The Devil's Feast. Though there were 6 mpaogos, one personality shone above all. Mr. T, the killer lion known for his thick, dark mane that covered his face like a black mask. But it was not the mane that made rangers and visitors call him the devil. It was his actions. He was unpredictable. He attacked suddenly, without reason, and tore apart his opponents with savagery even after they were dead. He wasn't merely a killer. He enjoyed the moment of slaughter. Although he loved all his brothers, his bond with Kinky Tail was special. They were an inseparable duo, hunting together, killing together, protecting each other's backs. When Mr. T surrendered to his madness, nothing could stop him, not even his brother's cubs. More than 11 cubs were killed by his fearsome jaws, slowly, cruelly, and without reason. None of his brothers intervened, as if they had accepted the devil among them. Thus, Mr. T became not just another lion, but a symbol of terror, a dark legend told in every camp and every safari. The Brothers Division. Despite the mpaogos' might, cracks began to appear within, especially between Mkulu, the eldest brother, naturally a leader, strong and dominant, and his brother, Mr. T, the fiercest of them all, who refused to be subordinate. In 2008, repeated clashes broke out between them. In one of the fiercest, Mkulu bit into Mr. T's leg with such force it nearly crippled him. Mkulu won that round, but the psychological wound was deeper than the physical one. After that battle, Mr. T split from his 4 other brothers. But he did not leave alone. He took with him his closest brother, Kinky Tail. The two moved east to establish their own domain, away from their brothers in the west. This split was not just a tactical decision. It was the beginning of a new era. Thus, the alliance divided into 2 factions, Mr. T and Kinky Tail in the east, mkulu, Pretty Boy, Dreadlocks, and Rasta in the west. That division sparked the bloodiest wars Sabi Sand had ever seen. The new enemy, the Majingilanes. In 2010, a threat emerged unlike any before. 5 young males in their prime, known as the Majingilanes. Their bodies were solid and explosive, their eyes fearless. They sought territory, and none was greater than the lands of the mpaogos. They began their challenge, roaring at the borders, marking trees and rocks with their scent. The message was clear: we are here, and we are coming. Mr. T and Kinky Tail did not retreat. On the contrary, they accepted the challenge with arrogance. They had never lost a fight. Why fear now? On June 8, 2010, the spark ignited. In a dense forest, the brothers encountered a lone Majingilane male. He tried to flee, but they caught him, pinned him down, and tore him apart. He was fierce, fighting until his last breath, leaving scars on Mr. T's face and Kinky Tail's paw. But the result was inevitable. One Majingilane was dead. Yet in the jungle, it was known. Blood begets blood. That night, vengeance was set in motion. The tragedy of Kinky Tail. Under the cover of darkness, the Majingilanes moved, furious and seeking revenge. They searched relentlessly until they succeeded in isolating Kinky Tail, who was wounded and limping from the previous battle. Still, he refused to retreat. He faced them, 4 against 1. He fought fiercely, injuring and pushing them back, but eventually, he fell beneath their brutal strikes and biting jaws. They pinned him to the ground and tore him apart mercilessly. By the time Mr. T arrived, it was too late. He saw his brother, his other half, being ripped apart between the enemy's jaws. He tried to attack and save him, but the odds were against him. They chased him away, forcing him to flee. When he returned, everything was over. Kinky Tail was nothing but a shredded corpse. That moment changed Mr. T forever. He was no longer the same lion. He became darker, filled with hatred and fury, as if Kinky Tail's soul had turned into boiling blood in his chest. For 2 whole days, he stood at the eastern borders roaring for his dead brother without pause. His mourning echoed through the wilderness. But the jungle shows no mercy, and he had to go on. The Devil Unleashed. Mr. T returned to his brothers in the west, but something inside him had shattered. He was no longer just a powerful king. He was now a true devil. He began killing his brother's cubs one by one. More than 11 cubs died by his claws over a few months. None of his brothers tried to stop him. Perhaps they feared him, or perhaps they understood that the pain inside him could not be calmed. The mpaogo coalition shrank after Rasta's mysterious disappearance. Only 3 remained, Mkulu, Pretty Boy, and Mr. T, still kings of the West. But time moved on. They were aging, their wounds accumulating. It was clear a new dawn was coming, one carried by younger, stronger lions. The end at the hands of the Saladi. Then came 2012, when another coalition emerged from the south. 4 males called the Saladis, later known as the Katos. They were in their prime, hungry for dominance and unafraid of facing legends. By February, signs of war were already clear. The confrontation was inevitable. As the mpaogos grew older, the Saladis grew stronger by the day. On March 16, 2012, the decisive moment came. In broad daylight, the Saladi coalition caught Mr. T alone. They attacked from all sides, slashing his back open with a deep wound. He fell to the ground, roaring, a cry that echoed through the savannah. He tried to fight, but one bit into his spine and broke it, leaving him paralyzed. Even then, he did not surrender. He kept growling, trying to rise, biting the air as if refusing to accept defeat. He fought until his last breath, even while unable to move. The rangers watching were stunned. One later said, "He died as he lived, a warrior to the very end." Legacy of blood and fire. With his death, the era of the Mpaogos ended. That coalition had terrorized the reserve for years, ruled half of it, and killed more than any other in modern Sabi Sand history. Mr. T left behind a legacy of contradiction. To some, he was a monster, a devil, a heartless killer. To others, he was a legend, an unbreakable king, a lion who wrote an unmatched saga in blood. Even today, years after his death, his name is still whispered among rangers and visitors. When they speak of lions that changed history, they say, "There once was a terrifying and majestic lion named Mr. T." This is not merely a tale of a lion. It is a story of power, blood, love, madness, and betrayal. A story reminding us that the jungle shows no mercy, that no king's throne lasts forever, but some kings are never forgotten, and Mr. T was one of them.
In today's video, we'll delve deeper into the magnificent African wilderness to explore the strongest lion alliances ever. Sixth, the Birmingham Boys. In the rugged northern Sabi Sand area of Kruger National Park, a group of lions known as the Birmingham Alliance established their presence. Each member had a unique personality, symbolizing strength and resilience in the African wild. Initially, Nsoko, nicknamed Blondie for his impressive blonde mane, took the lead as the eldest and fiercest. Naturally, Nsoko assumed his leadership role alongside his strong brother Nhenha, brave warrior Tino with broken teeth, and mischievous and aggressive Mfumo, named after a legendary villainous character. They cooperated as blood brothers to protect their territory and secure food collectively. However, life for the Birmingham Lions wasn't always unified. It was a mix of competition and desire for solitary rule. Battles erupted over mating rights and dominance, leading to violent conflicts within the coalition with severe consequences that eventually scattered this powerful alliance. Fifth, the Notch Coalition. The Masai Mara region, with its vast golden plains and immense animal diversity, witnessed a unique lion lineage known as the Notch Coalition. This group of 6 strong males, led by the grizzled male Notch, were angry siblings filled with bloodlust and hunting prowess. Their harmonious teamwork made them elite hunters who decimated many wild animals, including zebras with their high speeds. Their secret weapon was their thrilling collective action. Their roars echoed like thunder across the plains, signaling dominance and power and clearly expressing their bravery and control over the area. Led by Notch and his fierce sons, they were always effective attackers and seasoned warriors in battles. Spanning over 1,000 square kilometers, their prey-rich kingdom was highly contested by other beasts. Thus, it was inevitable that this kingdom would fall. As Notch aged, signs of weakness appeared, and his roar turned to whispers. He stayed close to his sons, trying to survive as long as possible before his reign broke forever. However, some sons fell in battles, and others disappeared for unknown reasons, hastening the end of this coalition that left its mark and genes across Masai Mara that will undoubtedly re-emerge in strong alliances. Fourth, the Matimba Lions Coalition. The formation of the powerful Matimba Coalition and its emergence in the Sabi Sand area was a very frightening era, which lasted from 2010 to 2017. These 6 lions were famous for their strength and ferocity, forming regional invaders, aggressors, and usurpers of many lands from other lion coalitions. This group originated in the Ngala Reserve, where their journey of dominance began in 2010 when they moved to Manyeleti, successfully expelling the dominant lions to establish their own territories and lands that extended across Kruger National Park to Ngala Reserve and onto Sabi Sand. The strategic decision by this coalition to move not only showed their adaptability, but also their understanding of the surrounding environment and how to take the best steps for dominance and expansion. The Matimba Coalition's ability to work collectively in coordinated hunting operations played a crucial role in their success. It also allowed them to cooperate effectively, not just in hunting, but also in defending their territories from potential threats. However, internal divisions and the mysterious disappearance of one of the lions named Nduna in 2012 led to a shift in Matimba's strategies. By 2013, conflicts within the coalition, along with the emergence of young lions, led to a split into two factions: the northern Matimbas, which included Shaka, Slit-Nose, and Whiteface, and the southern Matimbas, which included Hairy Belly and Ginger, known for their hostility and frequent clashes with rivals. The northern Matimba era began to fade once one of the males was killed in 2015, while another was killed by rival males in 2017. The last northern Matimba was seen spending time with the Skoro pride around Tamboti area and eventually died of old age as he appeared weak. Meanwhile, in 2018, the southern Matimba lions were spotted on the western side of Sabi Sand, an area left by the Majingilane coalition after their death. Soon after, the southern lions were seen mating with Othawa lionesses and later sired many cubs, expanding and mating with other known prides such as Talamati, Mibri, Nkuhuma, Torchwood, Skoro, and Red Road. Later on, Ginger Matimba suffered from a severe type of mange and was seen struggling with the disease for some time, but eventually died, leaving Hairy Belly as the last remaining Matimba lion. Third, the Salati Males Coalition. In the diverse competitive landscape of western Sabi Sand region emerges another one of the fiercest and most bloodthirsty coalitions. Despite its recent existence and short history of spread, it has made its own violent glory in this vast place. It is the Salati Coalition that came as a terrifying force dominating many areas of the reserve from 2015 to 2017 in a deadly and swift manner. Named after the Salati River that flowed through their territory, this coalition formed an enduring legacy. Their rise to prominence was not easy. The Salati brothers strategically collaborated to overthrow the Mpaogo coalition that ruled the area at that time. The scene of fierce battles was terrifying, especially after Mpaogo members scattered and struggled among themselves, leading to successful takeover of their territories and expulsion from the list of dominant predators in the region. The unity and strength of Salati coalition became the cornerstone of their clear dominance, embodying sophisticated strategies of lion societies. For 2 years, the Salati males held their territory with an iron grip. They sired many cubs and reinforced their status as formidable and terrifying predators that are difficult to confront. However, their reign was not without challenges. Territorial disputes arose from other coalitions that began to emerge frequently in the area, forming the kind of massive competition for place like the Majingilane and Birmingham males, which were constant threats. In addition, some internal conflicts within the group's entity led to one of the lions leaving the coalition in 2016. The tragedy for the coalition increased in 2017 when a member of the coalition fell victim to attacks by Matimba and Majingilane lions, while another succumbed to illness, leaving the remaining 2 Salati brothers in a clear state of weakness, as their strength was in their union. The younger lion persevered for a short time, but eventually faced too much challenge and competition that led to his overthrow by the Birmingham males in 2018. This marked the end of the strong Salati coalition. Secondly, the Majingalanes coalition. The Majingalanes coalition gained a terrifying reputation in their movements and incursions into territories and occupying areas, where this coalition's lions always moved towards their goal without ever deviating from their path. They were raised in Manyaleti Reserve, where they were known for their skills in hunting large prey, especially buffalo. After this quintet coalition's cubs were born between 2004 and 2005, they set out on their own in 2009, heading south towards Sabi Sand. Their choice to stay together played an important role in asserting their presence and enhancing their status everywhere they set foot. Therefore, they always roared on their way of migration, looking for new challenges to test their immense strength. Salala Pride was the first group targeted by the Majingalanes. They caused many victims who tried to confront them. Only the 4 younger lionesses along with their mothers managed to survive. By 2010, the 2 adult lionesses had surrendered to the coalition and chose to mate with what was previously considered the enemy. In this harsh environment, the law of survival of the fittest prevailed for the group and the strongest to ensure the continuation of the herd. The Majingilana's lions became stronger and more violent, with a darker and thicker mane that indicated their immense strength, gradually dominating more territories. This dominance continued for more than 7 years, representing an important chapter in the pages of glory they wrote over the years. They firmly controlled a vast area of Sabi-San Reserve estimated at 26,676 hectares during the peak of their influence. Firstly, the Mpaogo Alliance. We've reached one of the most ferocious alliances that dominated and marked their territory and history with blood. With a group of massive, fierce, and battle-scarred lions known as the mpaogo. This terrifying group of males born in South Africa, specifically in the vast Sabi-Sand area of Kruger National Park, was one of the most fearsome types of lions over the years, from 2004 to 2012. This alliance was famous for its unprecedented strength and violence and its unparalleled killing methods. They also controlled an area of about 70,000 hectares. What distinguishes the Mpaogo Alliance is its harsh reputation, which led to a bloody history documented by killing more than 100 lions and cubs in just 1 year, a number that could be higher considering the vast areas they patrolled. At its peak, the alliance consisted of 6 fierce males, had a special impact on the place, and did not distinguish between a cub of their offspring or their brother's offspring. They killed for the sake of killing only, with an insatiable hunger for violence and blood. In the early months of 2004, 5 cubs, along with the veteran warrior and leader mkulu, left their pride to begin a series of challenges to survive in the wild. In addition to learning exciting hunting and killing methods, they formed a formidable bond through their unity, staying together, thereby increasing their chances of survival. After gaining strength and becoming successful and skilled hunters, they set out to dominate and discover their immense power. Their large size and excellent experience in taking down huge prey enabled them to face the fiercest competing beasts, especially other lion alliances coveting their place. They also demonstrated their ability to adapt and excel in overcoming challenges in their vast territories. On March 16, 2012, a pivotal moment in the overall competitive landscape of the Sabi-Sand area was revealed when a new alliance of 4 male lions known as Salatis entered the territory controlled by the Mpaogo lions. This marked the beginning of a significant shift in the region's balance of power. Many challenges emerged at that time, especially after an internal conflict led to the fragmentation and division of the alliance. In another decisive confrontation, a group of powerful Majingilani lions appeared and began trying to overthrow the Mpaogo members through their tactical prowess and ferocity. The youthfulness and vitality that were one of the reasons for their ability to face the terrifying Mpaogo. The fall of alliance members one after another, especially Mr. T, marked a turning point in Mpaogo's dominance. The last 2 lions from the group, Old Mkulu and Pretty Boy, found themselves engaged in a fierce confrontation. It led to their withdrawal into Kruger National Park's territory, trying to stay away from danger as much as possible. However, they faced Kruger's lions, who eventually overthrew them, declaring an end to an era of one of the most brutal and bloody lion alliances. In the vast spaces that serve as a stage for competition, for the fight between the largest cats on Earth, where the soil and air are dyed red with blood, predators confront each other to prove their strength and dominance, and to declare the place a kingdom for the fiercest and strongest among them. Among these cats emerges the era of the fiercest lions, a group that fears nothing, named the Mpaogos Alliance, dominated and led by the most ferocious lion in modern history, who made his name a legend of brutality and violence throughout the kingdom. He is the lion nicknamed Mr. T, or Satan, who left with his brothers to the Sabi-Sand Reserve and established their own alliance. They waited to master hunting skills, strengthen their bodies, and steal others' prey before they occupied all parts of the reserve and wrote their terrifying, bloody history. Mr. T was the strongest of the group despite being the youngest, and was followed by his closest brother Kinky Tail, in addition to his other brothers mkulu, Rasta, and Pretty Boy. Mr. T relied on killing any dominant male he faced in the place in his way to expand in the reserve. Even he did not spare the young cubs or the females who refused to submit to him for mating. He killed them in the ugliest ways, to the point that he competed with his older brother Mkulu for ruling the place, and a violent fight broke out between them that ended with the division of the group and Mr. T leaving the alliance with his subordinate brother Kinky-tail. The brothers headed east to control the northern and eastern part of the reserve, where the strong duo guarded their lands against many intruders who had the audacity to come. Not only did Mr. T and his brother defend their brothers and the reserve lands from one side of the east, but they also faced any attack from the west as well, where the entire western part of the reserve was almost surrounded by walls, which means that the only way to enter was through Mr. T and his brother. 4 years have passed since the mpaogos dominated the place. In this calm, a significant challenge awaits the two brothers as they face a new coalition of lions in the area. This challenge, posed by the Majingalanese alliance, is one of the toughest battles these energetic, vibrant, and cunning young lions will encounter. The brothers set a trap for one of these 5 lions when he was wandering alone in the place. Then they surrounded him and killed him in a terrifying and fierce way. In the evening, the rest of these angry lions began to challenge and roar throughout the place to avenge the death of one of their brothers. Kinky-tail accepted this challenge and went arrogantly with his great strength to face them, to face the 4 lions. But the majority overcame the courage, and the Majingalanese alliance was able to kill him in the ugliest way. He was literally torn and bitten in a way that expresses the severity of their anger at the killing of their brother. And some photographers who captured this fight said that they literally heard the sound of his spine breaking. And when Mr. T arrived at the place at the call of his brother, he tried to skirmish with the angry lions, but he realized that he would not be able to compete with this strong young alliance. Then he left the place after being chased, but he survived and headed towards his brothers. While this new alliance declared control over the north and east, Mr. T had arrived at his brother's control areas in the south, who simply received him, without being expelled or fighting with mkulu again. After a brief period of calm, Mr. T returned to his usual brutality and tried to mate with some of the lionesses who refused to submit to him. So he expelled some of them and killed the other and killed most of the cubs in front of his brothers, who did not move to confront him and prevent him. Then he took over and became the leader of the group. After settling in the place, the Majingalanese lions resumed their attack on the mpaogos' control areas, and they succeeded in killing 2 of the mpaogos, namely Rasta and Pretty Boy, and the other 3 remained, led by Mr. T, who fled the place for survival. Age advanced in the 3 lions, and their situation became threatened by many young alliances that are expanding in the place. Hunting has become difficult for them, and aging has worn them out. And indeed not much has passed before a new alliance called Tsalala arrived, and pounced on Mr. T and his brothers, the latter who fled with them from the place. But the alliance followed him until it surrounded him and started fighting with him. It was a fight of life or death, and he kept fighting with all ferocity and strength to wriggle out of them. And despite his many wounds, he remained steadfast, replying the bites and blows, with his body thickened with wounds. But in the end, he fell victim to fatigue, and his strength faded, and the lions pounced on him, tearing all parts of his body. To end with his death, the legend of the fiercest lions in the Sabi Sand Reserve and Africa, who wrote headlines of brutality, terror, and control that will never be repeated. While his brothers Scar and Mkulu retreated as far as possible from the place to save their lives, their era later ended due to old age, lack of food, surrender to weakness, and death. Throughout the danger, death would not approach him, with his solid heart and majestic form that terrifies anyone who tries to attack him or even just approach his territories. The old lion, the greatest and oldest among lions, is Lolparpit, the famous lion of the Masai Mara Reserve. Together with his fierce brother Olbarnoti, they have drawn a tale of resilience and challenge across the vast lands of the reserve, where weakness cannot exist amidst the terrifying beasts competing for power, rule, and food. The legendary tale of these two lions has inspired many around the world to travel and take pictures of them, introducing their extraordinary ability to endure despite all the dangers they faced, and despite all the fierce prides that tried to drive them out and end their lineage. The legendary Lolparpit and his brother Olbarnoti were born in the Ridge Pride at the beginning of 2005, along with another male named Junior from a different female. Also born before them at the end of 2003 was Shiza, along with his brother who was born in mid-2004, the lion Sala, who later gained fame thanks to the documentary Big Cat Diary by the British Broadcasting Corporation. Later, as the cubs grew up, it became necessary for them, as usual, for all other cubs to leave the pride and then find their own way and discover their strength and establish their pride that will carry their genes for decades to come. On their journey to discover what fate holds for them at the end of 2007, Lolparpit, Olbarnoti, Junior, Shiza, and Sala took over Olikambo Pride. However, only Sala, Shiza, and Junior were accepted by the females in the pride, which forced Lolparpit and his brother Olbarnoti to move on in hopes of finding another pride where they can prove themselves. At the beginning of 2008, the brothers arrived at the northwestern part of Olare Orok Reserve, where they were accepted into Nkoyonai Female Pride before eventually taking over its leadership. After 2 years having gained experience and strength, they took control of Moniko Pride after expelling the dominant lions, Memzi and Lolalai, who ruled before them. They extended their rule over all of Olare Orok Reserve until mid-2011, as they continued to try to expand and dominate. The name Lolparpit, this great lion, which means the one with big hair, is a testament to his majestic beauty. Therefore, he was always favored by lionesses due to his heavier and darker mane. These two lions survived tough times, especially during the drought that swept Masai Mara in 2009, which led to many animals' deaths, both predators and prey alike. They also fought many battles while fiercely protecting their territories. With his strong genes, Lolparpit became a father to many lionesses and lions around Masai Mara, including later on the powerful knights and their most famous lion, Scarface. During the years when Lolparpit and Olbarnoti were responsible for Nkoyonai Pride and Moniko Pride, later on Double Crossing and Oldikidik, where they sired many cubs which they also protected even after they became young and strong, which is something not many other lions did. The life of these two lions with their sacrifices and care for their cubs attracted many photographers chasing legendary stories around the world. Over the years, thousands of tourists aspired to spend many days immortalizing moments of great beauty and excitement. Over the years, many young lions attempted to invade the territories controlled by these two powerful lions to no avail. However, due to the injury that Lolparpit sustained, signs of weakness and decline eventually had to appear. The brothers were forced to relinquish their territories in Inquiani after a fierce confrontation with Notch's lions, causing Lolparpit and his brother to retreat to the Pride of Double Crossing for fear of death. But life did not wish to leave these two lions in peace, so two other very fierce and vigorous young lions, Mohican and Romeo, encroached upon their territory. They defeated the brothers, who showed great strength in defense, but to no avail, forcing them again to leave the pride to these two new lions, who also did not stop expanding and controlling, to the extent that they took over the Inquiani group and expelled Notch's lions. The brothers tried to return and attack Mohican and Romeo, but were defeated again and fled to the eastern regions of the area, where they settled until around 2015, before their peace was disturbed by 5 new strong lions from the Rekaro group, who expelled the brothers after a very fierce and strong battle that nearly ended their lives. Afterwards, Lolparpit left with Olbarnoti far from the place. But because these two lions were accustomed to control and ruling territories, they tried at the end of 2016 to take over Oldikidik's pride, and indeed succeeded. Samgis After a year of rest, life smiled at them when Mohican died under mysterious circumstances, and his brother Romeo left, allowing the brothers to return to their former pride, Monaco, and settle there until 2017, before the appearance of two very strong lions whose fame spread in the place and were written about by many photographers, Lipstick and Blackie, who initially took over the pride. However, they faced a very violent and combative confrontation from the brothers who had reached an advanced age, but their defense was unprecedented and terrifying, until they actually managed to expel Blackie and Lipstick. Bad luck accompanied these two lions, and just months after stability, returned to their lives within the pride, 3 young lions, known as Salaboys, also arrived. At that time, Lorpabit was almost killed before his brother intervened, saved him, and expelled the 3 lions. But because life in the wild is not safe even for the fiercest beasts, bliss would not last long. Bad luck returned in the form of fig tree lions represented by 2 strong young lions, Kaka and Maridadi, who were sons of Lipstick and Blackie. These 2 lions entered eagerly for battle. However, Lorpabit's courage led him to use claw for claw, roar for roar, bite for bite in a very intense battle. Indeed, Lorpabit won the battle in the end, but it left him injured in one of his hind legs, an injury that would accompany him until his death. Despite his injury, Lorpabit continued to be respected and feared by other lions in the vast Masai Mara reserve, to such an extent that even in old age, no lion dared cross into the area he zealously guarded and protected with his brother Olbarnoti, his ally in power and blood brother. Lorpabit's condition deteriorated after his injury. He became old, thin, hungry, unable to move, and was seen lying motionless. Finally bowing to life, Lorpabit breathed his last due to old age on November 18, 2020, at approximately 16 years old. It can be said that this is one of the longest periods a lion can survive under harsh conditions in the wild African wilderness. And although it is sad news, it is encouraging to know that he died of natural causes on his land between Masai Mara Reserve's main area and Olar Motorogi Conservancy's border. Even at his time of death, Olbarnoti, who had formed a tremendous duo alliance with him and the rest of the pride, were still nearby. He watched over his brother, who left a legacy in the kingdom of lions that will echo for many years to come.